You walk into a room, and within 3 seconds, you know exactly who is secretly mad at who. People call it a superpower, but honestly, it is a trauma response.
Wait, a trauma response? People pay thousands of dollars in leadership coaching to get that kind of emotional intelligence.
They think they want it. They do not see the exhaustion behind it. When your brain has no off switch, you are not just reading the room, you are absorbing it.
Absorbing, meaning you take it home with you.
Exactly. You take it home, you pick it apart, and you replay a 3-second silence in your head for the next 3 days. It is not intelligence at that point. It is a psychological trap.
I know people exactly like this. Actually, I might do this myself. Like, my boss sends a message on Slack at 4 p.m. saying, "Come see me for a minute later."
And your heart rate immediately spikes.
It goes through the roof! I start dissecting the tone. Did I mess up the project? Was there a hidden coldness in the word later?
Right. For a normal person, that is simply a meeting request. For you, it is an invisible equation. Science actually has a name for this constant background processing. It involves the default mode network, or DMN.
Default mode network. What does that do?
In most people, the DMN activates when they are resting or daydreaming. It is peaceful. But for hyper-aware people, this network is hyperactive. Half of your brain is drinking coffee and smiling at a joke, and the other half is taking furious notes on the exact duration of the other person's eye contact.
That sounds incredibly tiring.
It is. That is why you can feel completely drained after sitting at a desk all day in downtown Seattle. Physically, you did nothing. Mentally, you just ran a marathon of emotional calculations.
But where does this come from? Is it something you are born with?
It is usually one of 2 things. The first is genetic. You might be a highly sensitive person, an HSP. Your nervous system is just built with an ultra-fine filter. You feel the world in 4K resolution.
And the second?
The second is survival. Neuroscience calls it hypervigilance. It usually starts in childhood.
You mean growing up in a volatile house?
Exactly. Imagine a child whose parents' moods change like the weather. That child cannot afford to be innocent. They have to become a radar station.
They learn to read the room before they even walk into it.
Yes, they memorize the exact sound of a car tire hitting the driveway to know if their parent is coming home angry or calm. They measure the force of a cabinet closing to gauge the tension in the kitchen.
That is heartbreaking. So the brain literally wires itself to predict danger.
The amygdala, the brain's alarm center, is stuck in the on position. And when that child grows into an adult, the shield they built fuses to their skin. They think they are just overthinking, but they are using a childhood survival tactic in an adult boardroom.
That changes everything. It completely removes the blame. But how does this affect them socially? If you are constantly scanning for hidden meanings, you must lose the ability to just trust people.
That is the quiet tragedy of hyper-awareness. You lose relational innocence.
Relational innocence. I like that term. What does that look like in real life?
Say a coworker brings you a coffee and says, "Great job on that presentation yesterday." A normal person says, "Thank you," and enjoys the coffee. An overly aware person immediately asks themselves, what favor do they need? Are they buttering me up to take over a shift?
But wait, isn't a healthy dose of skepticism good? In the corporate world, people do have hidden agendas.
Skepticism is a tool you pick up and put down. Hyper-awareness is a lens you cannot take off. It corrupts everything. An apology never feels real because you suspect they are just managing the conflict, not feeling actual remorse.
Wow, so a promise sounds fragile and a compliment feels like a trap.
Exactly. They do not become hateful people, they just become profoundly lonely. Because no one else is seeing the layers they are seeing.
And I imagine that leads to becoming the quote unquote therapist friend. Because if you can read everyone's hidden pain, you end up carrying it.
Spot on. Psychology differentiates between cognitive empathy, understanding someone's feelings logically, and emotional empathy, which is actually absorbing the emotion.
Like a sponge.
Yes. The mirror neurons in their brain activate as if the tragedy is happening to them. A friend vents about a messy divorce over lunch, and the hyper-aware person goes home with physical chest pain for 3 days.
That takes a massive physical toll. You cannot sustain that.
You really cannot. And that brings us to the body. Have you ever heard of interoception?
Interoception? No, is that like sensing your own heartbeat?
Exactly. It is the brain's perception of the body's internal state. Overly aware people have hypersensitive interoception. They drink an espresso, their heart rate bumps up slightly from the caffeine.
And let me guess, the brain panics.
It shouts, "Fast heartbeat, we are in danger, panic attack imminent." The brain misinterprets a normal biological reaction as a fatal threat. Cortisol floods the system, which makes the heart beat even faster. It is a brutal anxiety loop.
So they are fighting threats from the outside, reading everyone's minds, and threats from the inside, reading their own body.
Which leads to the ultimate coping mechanism, trying to control the future through analysis paralysis.
How does analyzing things give you control?
It is an illusion of control. The unspoken belief is, if I can predict every possible way this goes wrong, I will not be surprised by the pain.
Oh man, I will hurt myself first, so the world can't hurt me.
Yes. They pre-grieve the end of a relationship while still on the first date. They plan their reaction to getting fired when the boss just asked for a casual meeting. They live in 10 different versions of the future while completely abandoning the present.
That is the real cost, isn't it? Protection replaces presence.
You treat life like a high-risk project instead of just living it. You guard against the ghosts of tomorrow and miss the beauty of today.
So what is the way out? Because you cannot just tell someone like this to stop overthinking. That is the most useless advice ever.
Telling them to stop is like telling someone with perfect vision to try seeing things blurry. You cannot turn it off. The solution is to stop carrying everything. You set emotional boundaries.
Give me a concrete example. How do you stop carrying it?
Rule number 1. Not every silence is a hidden message. If someone replies slowly to a text, maybe they are just exhausted. If a coworker walks past without smiling, they might just have a headache.
Stop personalizing the data.
Exactly. Rule number 2. Not every emotion requires action. Your heart starts beating fast after that espresso. Instead of analyzing why you are anxious, you just say, "Oh, my heart is beating fast. It is a physical sensation," and let it pass.
Observe it without judging yourself for feeling it.
Yes. And the hardest rule, not every insight needs to be spoken or acted on. You might clearly see the insecurity of the guy sitting across from you, but you do not have to be his therapist.
That is powerful. You are allowed to just notice something and let it be.
When you do that, the awareness shifts. It turns from fear to curiosity. It matures. You still feel the energy of a room, but you are no longer pulled into its current.
You change the intensity of the light.
From a harsh laser beam that exposes every flaw to a warm candle, bright enough to understand human fragility, but gentle enough to keep yourself warm.
If you are listening to this right now and you feel exposed, just know your depth is not a flaw.
It is a gift. It just needs your own compassion first.